He was getting out of his luxury vehicle when he noticed her seated on the pavement with a plastic bowl resting in her lap. Just one glance, and his whole world halted, for the woman who was begging on the street had once raised him as if he were her own. Armin Kapoor had just finalized a billion-rupee deal and was on his way to celebrate at a five-star hotel, dressed impeccably in a tailored suit, his phone vibrating with congratulatory messages. He possessed everything that most people only dare to dream of. Yet fate had different intentions that evening. As his driver stopped at a red light near an old marketplace, something caught Armin's eye at the corner of the street. An elderly and frail woman, wrapped in a thin shawl, sat quietly with her head bowed, pleading for coins that barely landed in her bowl. There was something about her that made his chest constrict. He leaned forward, squinting through the tinted glass, and then he recognized her face, sun-worn and wrinkled, but unmistakable. "Nanny," he whispered, his voice cracking. Before his driver could respond, Armin flung open the car door and hurried into the street, disregarding the honking horns and flashing cameras. He sank to his knees beside her as their eyes met. Confusion flared for a moment, followed by recognition. "Chew," she said, her voice trembling. "My Chew." Armin's throat tightened. "What happened to you?" Tears welled in her eyes. "Life happened after your family moved abroad. There was no one left. I lost my job. The landlord took the house. I tried so hard." The noise of the street faded, and the camera click ceased. For the first time in years, the man who had built an empire felt like a child again. In front of everyone, he did something no one anticipated. He drew her into his arms and wept. Armin knelt there on the pavement, holding her tightly as onlookers paused. Stunned, some snapped pictures, some murmured, but no one dared to interrupt. This wasn't just a reunion. It was heartbreak wrapped in love. "I searched for you," he whispered, still trembling. "When I returned to India, I tried to ask around. No one knew where you went." She smiled faintly. "That's because people forget those who helped them once they achieve success. I never blamed anyone. I just hoped you were doing well. And look at you." Armin took off his suit jacket and gently draped it over her shoulders. "You should never have ended up like this," he said, pain evident in every word. "You raised me. You were there when my parents were too occupied. You told me bedtime stories and fed me with your own hands. You were my little sunshine," she whispered, tears filling her eyes. "I had no children of my own, but I had you." A nearby vendor approached, offering a bottle of water. Armin nodded gratefully, opened it, and helped her drink. Then he straightened and faced his driver. "We're going home," he stated firmly, "and she's coming with me." "But, sir—" "Cancel it. Tell them I have someone far more important to care for tonight." He turned back to her. "From today, you'll never beg again. You won't sleep on cold streets or wonder where your next meal is coming from." She looked up, shaking her head. "I don't want pity. Beta, this isn't pity," he said, assisting her to stand. "This is repaying love with love. You gave me everything when you had nothing. Now let me do the same." As he carefully guided her into the back seat of his luxury car, holding her hand like a child clinging to home, something in the world felt right once more, because this wasn't merely an act of generosity. It was a boy at last bringing his mother back home. Initially, the car ride was silent, filled with emotions too immense for words. Armin sat beside her, watching the city lights flicker by as she clutched his jacket tightly, like it was a memory she could never bear to lose. He glanced over. "Do you remember how you used to sneak me lados before dinner?" She smiled faintly. "And how your mother would scold me each time she found out?" They both laughed, tears still lingering in their eyes, as they pulled into the gates of his mansion. The staff appeared bewildered, but when they noticed Armin helping the fragile woman out with both hands, their expressions transformed from confusion to quiet awe. He turned to his house manager. "Prepare the guest room on the top floor and call for the doctor now." The manager nodded without hesitation. That night, Armin sat by her bed as the doctor examined her. Malnutrition, weak bones, nothing that can't be healed with time. Care, and warmth. She'll be okay, the doctor stated. She just needs rest, food, and love. She'll have all three, Armin replied, his gaze unwavering from hers. Later, he brought her a tray of warm soup himself. She attempted to sit up, but winced. "Let me," he said, taking the spoon gently. "You shouldn't be doing this." She whispered. "I should have done this years ago," he replied. She looked at him, overwhelmed. "Why are you doing all this, Armin?" He met her gaze, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Because you were the only one who never abandoned me. You raised me with your hands. Now let me hold you with mine." She covered her mouth, trying to stifle her tears, but they flowed nonetheless, and he didn't stop her. He remained there the entire night, holding her hand as she slept. Because sometimes the most powerful act a wealthy man can perform is to remember the woman who loved him before he had anything to give. Weeks passed, and everything transformed, not just in Armin's mansion, but in his heart as well. He established a private care team for her, ensuring she had every comfort she had ever been deprived of. But more than that, he gave her gifts and shared dinner with her every night. He brought laughter back into her life, and when she recounted stories from the past, he sat like a child, listening closely, absorbing every memory he thought he had lost. Naturally, the media caught wind of it. Billionaire reunites with childhood nanny, brings her home from the streets. The story went viral, and people praised him. But Armin was indifferent to the accolades. One evening, as sunlight poured golden through the windows, he sat beside her on the garden bench, assisting her with her chai. "I want to do something," he said quietly. "In your name." She tilted her head, intrigued. "What kind of something?" "A shelter for women who were forgotten just like you, with warm food, beds, books, and laughter." Her eyes filled with tears once more. "Armin," he gently placed her hand over his. "I'm going to call it Amma, because that's what I used to call you when I couldn't say Nanny." She laughed, wiping a tear away with her shawl. "You still remember." "I remember everything," he said softly. "And I want the world to remember you too." 3 months later, the shelter opened, with her seated in the front row like a queen as Armin delivered his speech beside her. He concluded by stating, "I built companies with strategy, but I built myself with her love." The crowd rose to their feet, and Amma smiled, a smile only someone who gave love without asking for anything in return can have upon finally receiving it. Because sometimes, true wealth isn't measured in money. It's in never forgetting the hands that once held you when you had nothing.